Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I was yawning, and when I yawned, my eyes water. So, it was a good night. We got a good night's sleep. We did not make it to Quincy. We have about another 15 miles, I believe, to dam number 20. And then about another 15 to Quincy, so about 30 miles. Beautiful, beautiful sunrise here on the river. One of my friends told me that right where I'm at is the epicenter of Bigfoot encounters in Illinois and Iowa. And then he sent me a site, and I guess in like 2007 somebody saw something down here by the river. And then I think there was another one that said somebody heard some vocalizations at night. I did not hear or see anything. It would have been cool if Bigfoot would have came out and waved as I went by. But that did not happen. So I'm going to get dressed, get some breakfast. It's like 35 degrees, so it's not bad. Can't see your breath, so we're warm. Yeah, that's the plan for this morning. Just get ready, and then I'll be back when we're up on deck. Hey everybody, we're up on deck. Ooh, I'm getting pretty shaggy. I'll have to shave here pretty soon. We have a beautiful sunrise on the river. I was looking online, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, if I was on Facebook mentioning it, but we're in a Bigfoot hotspot, but no big feet. I was hoping we'd see one wave us by on our trip. That would have made it pretty epic. Anyway, 13 miles, or 13.8 miles to Lock and Dam 20, and then after that it's about another, I believe, 16 to Quincy. We're about half. The Lock and Dam's about halfway from where we're at. So, I'm going to weigh anchor here, and we're going to push on down river. Alright, we press on. Thank you, Willow Bar. That's the name of the little island we parked off of. Beautiful night. There was no wind, so we didn't have to worry about hunting, which is the boat going in a circle from the current pushing us one way and then the wind doing another way, which tends to do a little bit of a sleepless night when that happens, because you're never sure when it gets to one point, across from where the anchor, the way it's a, what do they call that? I'll have to look it up. I know, but I just woke up. The name Danforth anchor, I believe it is. And they grip one way. So when you go in a circle like that, at some point you are opposite of where it's gripping. So I'm always worried it's going to pop out. But luckily I've always been good and it hasn't. So I've gotten really lucky with that. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. So to Lock and Dam number 20, and then Quincy is the plan. Hopefully there's a city dock there in Quincy I'll be able to go tie up at, and then I can hoof it or get an Uber or something, or see if I can find a Mississippi River Angel to meet me, and we'll go up to the gas station in town and get gas, top off our tanks, and then after that we should be able to make it to Alton, and then we'll get the mast up, and we will be a sailboat again. I'm excited. I'm excited. Everything's looking good. The other day, after we went aground, and then I was calling places to get in to see how they are for gas ahead, it's kind of like, oh, frown I face. This might be a challenge. But it seems like it's all working out real good. The river did drop, though. 5 or 6 inches overnight. It was kind of crazy. I'm not positive if that's because of this is pool 20, and somebody was saying there's a power plant and it's kind of got its own natural little tide where it'll go down in the morning when they turn the plant on, and then at night they shut it off and it goes up. So I'm not positive if that is because of that and that's why it dropped so much, or if it's just natural drop of the river with what's going on. Sorry, I said I was looking at something on my chart plotter. The channel here is 12.6, 12.2. I don't know what it would normally run with the water up, but I would hope it would be more than that. I know the barges need 9.6 feet, I believe, draft. So they're still running. We had a few go by us last night. We had the American Melody. That's the passenger ship we saw on one of our first couple days up there by Red Wing, I believe. I'll have to look back on my videos when we first saw her. But we've passed her a few times. She travels at like 15, 20 miles an hour, like 15 knots. And she cruises up and down the river like nothing, way quicker than all the barges here so far, except like the power boats. I heard from the city of Cassville yesterday, and he kind of answered some questions for me, so I thought I'd fill you guys in. The barges just have propulsion from the rear. He said some places where it's real tight in that, they do make like bow thrusters for them, but it's not very common. They're called towing vessels. It's just tradition, and he didn't know why, but if anybody out there in YouTube land knows where that tradition comes and why they still call them that even though they push, kind of cool to find out a little bit of the history. And what was the other thing that I know? MV stands for motor vessel, so I thought that was kind of interesting. A motor vessel, sailing vessel. I don't know why they don't call the motor wreck boats MV, but that might be confusing if you had MV barges and MV wreck boats. It might confuse people, so I'm not sure if that's why they call them pleasure craft, which is interesting to me. Like I was saying before, I always get a kick out of it when you hear on the radio, they're like, calling pleasure craft. In my head, I just think like weird orgy boat. But yeah. Anyway, get my mind out of the gutter. You can definitely tell the river has dropped. So it's supposed to be a beautiful weather day, not very much wind, so we're going to take advantage of it and try and get another 12, 14-hour day like we did yesterday. That is the plan. Motor's running good. Boat's running good. Nothing bad. Nothing that we really need to worry about. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do those boards between the stanchions. If I'm either going to lash them with some paracord, or if I'm going to look into getting some U-bolts. I don't know exactly the size yet and all that. I'll have to get into that, and I can fill you guys in the video. So if you guys are ever looking to do that. Somebody also though was saying that you could just run a rope, like a couple ropes, tie it back and forth, and use that kind of like webbing. That's an option also. Or they also have like that netting you can get that you put on your stanchions. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I'm gonna do that. We don't really have to worry about it now. We have enough room in the boat, and it's not super cramped with them water jugs. I'm liking having them. I put them right in front of the head, the toilet there. I guess you guys can't see. And it helps to counter out the weight of all the gas and fuel we have back here. So that's nice. So then the nose isn't all. And so I'm not really worried about that. I'm trying to think of anything else that would be informative for you guys this morning and what's going on the trip. trying to upload my video from yesterday, and then hoping Larry and Daryl will check that out and all our comments on that, and I'm looking forward to hearing from him and what he has to say on that. In Alton, we have the possibility of meeting someone from the local city newspaper, and they want to do an interview on us, but I kind of have social anxiety, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not, but it might be kind of fun. I think it's interesting. I was looking up Joshua Slocum. He's the first man to circumnavigate the world. Kind of had a real interesting time. He only had like a 15. He didn't even have a chronometer for a long time. And then when he did get one, he just bought like a $15 watch, like little tin thing. It wasn't a watch, but it was like a little set clock. And then at another point, a goat that he got from an island that they donated to him so he could have it for food and milk, ate all his charts. So he had to go by memory of where he had been before, which would just be crazy. I know going down the river here, if I didn't have an updated chart on that Navonics and that, it would be almost impossible to get down the river right now. There's no way you'd be able to do it. You could, I guess, if you were really, really watching the channel markers and everything, but there's spots where the channel markers are so far apart that if you didn't have Navonics to like zoom out and stuff, you could very easily miss it. And then like this, as you can see, here's the channel marker. We're out here in the middle of the river, and it looks amazing. You know, there's the river all the way to your port side here, to the shore. You're like, open water. But if you go more than like 50 feet outside, sometimes even closer, those channel markers, it drops to just, or the water level just the depth that you have just drops. That sounds weird to me, explaining drops, the water level, because when I say drops, to me that makes it, in my head, it makes it think dropping and getting deeper. But dropping water level, I guess, to the ground below. So, sorry, I'm just talking that out of my head. Real time for you guys. So, it's kind of crazy because you wouldn't really ever expect that. And I know when I pull over at night to do my little anchorages and stuff, you know, you really got to watch to see the ones where there's enough room for you to pull over and then to swing on your anchor chain. Because otherwise, you know, you don't want to be in something where it's a good spot to anchor. You think you're right behind the channel marker, but you put the anchor out and you have, you know, 50, 100 feet of line, depending on, you know, depth or the wind conditions, or we have all the way up to 300 feet we could put out. I've never done that on the river, but I'm just saying, you have all that line out for your anchor, and if you swing, the majority of the time I put out probably 50 feet, and we're in like 10 to 15 feet of water, sometimes less. So there's a formula that you do, and you want to be, I used to always try to do 10 to 1 when we were on Lake Mille Lacs for anchoring, but on the river here, if you put out 10 to 1, it would be so far, and with the hunting, you don't want it to get all tangled around the keel and the lower unit, so we tend to just stick out 5 to 1, or even less if the wind is not that bad. There's times when there's been no wind, and because the river level is so low, there's not really a current. You almost just drop the anchor and then leave out that exact amount to when it hit, and then you can feel the chain go down. And then you tie off, and just because of that, it keeps you right there. It's kind of cool. I know when I was researching the trip, and you got to be aware of that. Sometimes it can be a pain to, you know, pull your anchor up because the weight of your boat, and If you have too big of a boat, you're not going to be able to pull it yourself. You're going to need a windlass, which is, I don't know why they call them windlasses. This is something I'm going to have to research, but it's the winch that you use up in the front of your boat to pull up the anchor. And they have electric ones, and then they have ones with winch handles. Winches back here for our Genoa up front. And yeah, but we don't need that. We haven't needed that at all, and it's insane how much of not a current there is. In my head, I'm like, the mighty Mississippi, and there's not a current really at all. Someone was telling me in the comments, though, since there's really not big waves or anything, and you don't really have to worry about that, you could stern anchor, and that would prevent the hunting. But everything I've ever learned about anchoring in a boat says do not stern anchor, because that's not what your boat's designed for. And if there's like a big wake from a barge or a power boat that shoots by real quick, you know, swamp your cockpit. In these sailboats, the cockpit, back here they have things called scupper drains. I don't know if you guys can see them. I'll get a better shot of it later. But there's two drains in the back of the cockpit that if water ever gets in here, then it drains right out. So that's not really an issue there, but we want to avoid that. That would make for an interest all of a sudden. Woo! And yeah, so we want to avoid that. I might try it if it's a real calm time and I know I'm in a spot where no boats are, or I'm far enough out of the channel that I don't know boats are going to go by real fast. But otherwise I'm fine. I don't mind the hunting. It hasn't really been a problem. So, and if the wind is too much, like if it gets above like 10 or 15 miles an hour, because there's no current, it's always just pushed us to one side, and we don't even have to worry about hunting. And like the day I was at anchor the other day, bobbing around watching barges, we had like 40 mile an hour winds, and it just pushed us to the way of the wind, and that worked out perfect. In that video, I don't know if you guys noticed, there's a real big crash when I'm looking off into the shore by the island, and those were actually trees breaking on shore. Somebody asked me, like, what's that loud, what was that loud bang? Was that like something on your boat or whatnot? Or just the way the video sound was? And it was actually on shore, there were a bunch of trees breaking all day because of how windy it was. But luckily for us, we were up behind that island, and we didn't have to feel it really at all. So I'm really glad that day we ran into Co-op Ambassador, and he gave us that little bit of a tip, saying, you know, get up here behind the island. On my chart, it shows that it's deep enough, because on my chart, on Navionics, off of the river in places, it doesn't always just show what the depth is up to shore. Sometimes it'll have the channel, and then off of that it has like a different color with little X's, and it'll just say 0 to 8.9 feet. And so you don't really know exactly what the depth is in there. But the barge guys, their charts are a little more updated. The city of Cassville said it doesn't actually say depths, but they have the color differences, so you can kind of tell. And so he was able to have a little bit more updated chart than me, and then he was able to tell me, hey, you're good to go up to that little island, and I was able to get up there. So I'm very thankful for him. I appreciate it. I don't know if he's ever going to watch these videos. I know City of Cassville, he said he'd put in a thing with the barge company to try to get his phone number so I can thank him. And hopefully we'll be able to do that, and then I'll be able to talk to him and actually tell him how much he really helped me out. And maybe he'll be able to watch the video and you can kind of see what it was like from my perspective of him coming around like that and stuff. So on down the river. Alright, something I forgot to mention is we are actually now out of Iowa as well. This is Missouri, and that is still Illinois. So, thought I'd share that with you guys. I forgot to before. It wasn't too much past Fort Madison there, I believe, is where the border was. So, pretty cool. We're making it down south. You can definitely tell the weather difference. Back up in Minnesota, I hear it's pretty chilly. Here, we're going to end up having 67 degrees. So, made like this, and like winter gloves, a hat, you know, long underwear. We'll end up in t-shirts, probably, hopefully. Alright, we're about 3 miles from Lock and Dam, number 20. Another little industrial plant up here and some barges parked, so I thought I'd get some footage for you. I'm not positive, but that inside barge looks like it's up on the shore. Maybe they parked it there and then the water dropped. Alright, here we come up to Lock and Dam, number 20. This one should be a piece of cake after the last one and a 39-foot drop. That one was fun. That one was fun. It was really cool how far it was. And tying onto that floating thing that I forget what the guy called it, floating chuck or floating, I don't know. But when I was pulling in, I'm like, I need 2, because I'm used to saying that for 2 lines. And a lot of times they'll just throw you 1 because there's one of you if you don't tell them. So you say, I need 2, and the guy's like, how are you gonna do 2? You're not big enough. I'm like, I do 2 in all the other ones. And then when I got up to it, I realized they're like 40 feet apart, and it's not lines, it's floating chuck. So it was like, yeah. I can see why he was like, what is this guy talking about? So we're gonna call on the radio here, and then hopefully we'll be able to get right on through. Alright, so here is Lock and Dam number 20. We'll follow the channel markers on up and head on in. I called him on the radio. He said, we'll fill her up for you. Somebody last night was telling me that the Lock and Dam there in Quincy actually had a live YouTube channel that watches it. And I'm wondering if anybody else knows out there if there is other live cameras for any of the other Lock and Dams. If they are, let me know so I can let you guys know. And when I go through it, you guys can watch me go through. Kind of cool to see a different perspective of how it goes and what you look like. Alright, they opened her up and we're heading on in. Right there, about in the middle next to that building, you can see there's a green light. This is how far we are still, though. Sorry, I keep coughing. I'm kind of starting to lose my voice from talking in these videos. And then, I don't know if I was kind of starting to get a little cold or not. I actually got a message from the Golden Rule, and 2 of their crew members have COVID. They have a chase vehicle, RV, so they're isolating in the RV. But I want to say that we, wish them the best and sending good healing vibes, and I hope that they're okay. Helen, the woman we met, and she's the coordinator, and then I believe the captain is actually sick. So then they have the first mate, Steve, and he's trying to find all the anchorages and stuff, which is supposedly also tricky for them, because as you guys know, the river is low. Low, low, low. Definitely glad that we have a swing keel. Since there's no wind or anything today, we threw up our poor man's bimini again. And hanging out in the shade. Take off my hat and gloves. It's about 55 now. It's kind of crazy how your body starts to become acclimatized to the environment that you're in. And now it's like 55 degrees. I'm like, wow, it's warm. Super warm. Whereas like before, you know, I was acclimatized to like heating in the house like 72, you know, in the summer. It would be like 65. You're like, oh, it's chilly, chilly. I need some big sweater and whatnot. It's kind of cool how your body adapts and changes. The human body is an amazing. Over here we have 2 eagles flying. I don't know if we can see. Here they're flying out towards us. There they go by. We'll see how this goes when I yell. I need 2. Oh yeah, they definitely have lines on this one. This one's not as far as a drop. So I was talking to a few people in the Mississippi River group. I used to say it Minnesota. And the last one we just went through, Lock and Dam 19, is the second longest, and Lock and Dam number 2 was the first, but we didn't go through that one. Up here and get locked through. I'll come back once we're up in the lock. Well, now that was a bit tricky. I shut the motor off, then I went to turn it on, and the starter just clicks. So, and then I had to start a. That wouldn't start in the butt, but we got it going. Pretty easy. You just lock it in forward, and then we can still steer with the rudder and the wheel. I'm going to get away from the dam here, and then I'll try what's going down with the motor and the starter. The motor works fine, it's just the starter. So we do have a backup full start down in there that I can get as well. And if that's what we have to do the motor, that's what we'll have to do for a little bit. Until we can maybe take apart the starter and check out the coils and the bushings and stuff. Or see if it's the starting, it's clicking, so I don't think it's the starter solenoid. But we'll check it out here and see what we got. But this little 8-horse song is pretty good. We're doing well, we were doing 4 miles an hour, but I turned it down there so I could talk. Looks like over here is a good little spot. Maybe I can pull over there, and we'll get out of the channel. Get this figured out. If I have to, I can start it by hand, hopefully. And we'll go from there. Alright, everybody, so here's our motor. And what's happening is that gear is not popping up, it's just spinning. So I think I'm gonna remove the starter and just kind of check it out. I'm gonna try the good old handy method of trying to hit it on the side first. And if that doesn't work, we have a pull start, but I don't know if that'll work because then you can't engage the choke. So if we have to, we have our spare motor and we can tool along at our same speed, and we'll get down to Marina and we can order a new starter if we have to. So the fun of working on a boat, living on a boat, and traveling on a boat. I think it was funny, it was in the lock, and I turned the motor off to talk to the guy, and then when I went to start it, it went rrr, and then just started spinning. You could hear it, so I'm gonna start working on that. Alright, so after sitting here and messing with it for a while, I've come to the conclusion what it is this Bendix gear is sticking. So what I'm going to try to do is spray it with some PV Blaster, is the plan. And then we'll let it sit for a little bit, and then I'm going to move it back and forth. You hold this, and then you move this and it'll go up and down. And yeah, that's what we're gonna try. So this is the Bendix gear, and it's supposed to come up and engage the flywheel of the motor, and it was not coming up. All that was happening was it was spinning and it was kind of stuck. So what I'm gonna try here is I put some PB Blaster on it. And it's already, you can tell it's way better. Before, when I would pull it all the way up to the top, you couldn't let go, and when you let go, it wouldn't fall all the way back down. So now you can see if I let go, it falls right back down. So yay, PB Blaster. So I think this is gonna work, and we will have. Alright everybody, so that works. I tested it out. That's what it was, the Bendix gear sticking on the starter. So a nice easy fix. Why it is important to over tool everything. So yay PB Blaster. This stuff is amazing. So I'm gonna get all my tools put away and put this stuff back in there, and then we'll finish our lunchy lunch and start heading. Wasn't a bad fix or prepare at all. Alright, we push on under our main engine power. It's a nice little anchorage right there, right off of Lock Dam number 20. Alright, everywhere anchorage for the night. So I put up our beacon back. We're about 2 miles away from Quincy. I'm gonna wait for the wind to die down to go to Lock 21, which is just past there. I threw both anchors out just to be safe, because we're gonna have some 25, 30 mile an hour, maybe 35 mile an hour gusts tonight. I want to be safe. Tomorrow it might be even windier, so I'm not sure if tonight. I'll kind of watch windy and what's going on, and maybe in the middle of the night when the wind dies down, I'll switch down to the Quincy Public Dock, and then tomorrow we'll spend the day there with the wind, and we can run into town and get supplies and stuff. So that is the plan. So it was a good day, kind of a short day. Sucked that the starter went out in the motor, but I'm glad it was an easy fix, so it wasn't nothing that we couldn't overcome. And we got to try out our spare motor, so we know that works if we ever need it, which is reassuring. And overall, it was just a good day. So if you guys have any questions about anything that we went through today, leave them in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us out. I'll see you guys later.